Hey, what's up guys, Wes here. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a brake job on the front end of this 2005 Toyota Tacoma Pre-Runner. I'll be changing out the rotors and the pads, but while we're in there, we're also going to be changing out the front wheel hub assembly. This is a pretty straightforward project, something you can do with some basic tools, but I'll go ahead and show you the parts and then we'll jump right into it. So here's the parts we'll be working with. Here are the front rotors. Make sure you get the appropriate number of lugs for your model. Order some brake pads. And last but not least, the star of the show, we've got the hub assemblies. Got these from Detroit Axle, and they're pretty solid. It's going to be a fairly simple bolt-on process. Make sure again you get the right number of lugs. It'll be 4 bolts, and we'll be in business. All right, once you got the wheel off and out of the way, the first thing you're going to want to do is remove this 12mm nut on the brake line. That way we can move it out of the way in just a second. The next step is going to be to remove these 2 bolts on the caliper. They're 17mm. Once the caliper is free, make sure that you hang it off to the side with a rope. I've got a zip tie here, something to make sure that the brake line is not going to get bent. Alright, once that's free, in order to get your rotor off, you can use these 2 threaded holes with an M8 1.25 bolt. You can twist it on, use a ratchet if you need to. Apply pressure evenly on both sides and it'll pop right off. Alright, now that we got our rotor out of the way, you can get a good look at the wheel hub that we'll be replacing. And it's going to be 4 18mm bolts on the side, and it's going to take a wrench to get those guys off of there. Then once the bolts are free, you got your old wheel hub assembly. Now that you've got your wheel hub off, this is as good a time as any to go ahead and clean out any dust or debris, wipe off the face where the new wheel hub is going to be bolting to the vehicle. Before you scrap your old wheel hub, there's a dust cap in the center that you're going to want to take out of each one. We'll be putting it on the new wheel hub assemblies. You could use a socket or a blunt end of a screwdriver and just tap it out. Alright, then just bolt on your new wheel hub assembly. Don't forget the dust cap that we just collected and put it right in place. Now we're going to reattach the brake line support bracket. That way we can support the caliper while we get the pads out. This next step is pretty simple. To get the pads out, we'll be removing these 2 pins, top and bottom. But before we can do that, you have to remove the 2 little cotter pins or safety pins that are holding each one of those in. Once those are free, you'll take a screwdriver that's handy, or a punch set, anything that you may have, and you'll just kind of tap the pins through and they should come out pretty easily. You may need to spray a little bit of lubricant on there, some kind of PB blaster, something to help knock it free. Now that the pads are out, this is a good time to clean out any brake dust or rust that are built up inside of these pistons. So now you just go ahead and get your new brake pads put in, get your retaining pins and hardware back in place, and then you'll be ready to reattach the rotor. As you can see, everything is in place. And last but not least, you'll want to make sure to take the 2 17mm bolts that we took out earlier and put them back into the caliper. And the caliper is also pretty heavy, so it might be a good idea to have a second pair of hands to help steady it while you get these bolts in place. Alright, so there you have it. That was the quick and dirty version of getting your front brakes replaced along with the front wheel hub assembly. Like I said, it's a pretty straightforward process as long as you have some basic tools. But I hope this video helped you. If it did, or you found any value in it, definitely give it a like and consider subscribing. I put out similar videos from time to time and I'd love to hear from you.